Right, hey guys, how we doing? Back in another video from Seth the Programmer of Second Channel Seth. This is one I've been wanting to check out for a while, don't know why I haven't checked it out until now. But this is basically Bardock versus King Vegeta, which I think is an interesting one. I don't know whether the manga potentially changed how this could be, because we've seen more of Bardock now. Obviously, in the anime, we saw like King Vegeta blow up planets and stuff. That's stuff that a lot of other people could do. But Bardock had his moment in the Super manga. So it's like, who could win? I don't know. Like, Bardock tried to go up against Vegeta, but didn't really do anything. King Vegeta couldn't. So let's see how he's going to figure this one out.
Bardock versus King Vegeta, or Goku's dad versus Vegeta's dad, tends to be one of those subjects that everyone has thought about probably once or twice, and then they'll just generally say, well, they're probably about relative, but Bardock in the special, when he goes Super Saiyan, should
Obviously
be
would
strong.
win, yeah.
Right? That's what most people say, and I don't blame people for saying that. I mean, I think that is true, that Bardock in the special, he goes Super Saiyan.
Definitely.
King Vegeta doesn't.
Surely.
Case closed. And obviously, let's be honest, that fan-made Super Saiyan Bardock special, probably not so genuine or canon, and things have changed. Even looking back then, the arguments were a bit archaic, but to go over them briefly, it looks a little like this. Bardock goes to planet Kanasa. He wipes it out as an Uzaru with his team. One of the Kanasans survive and actually puts the moves, or could kind of take out Bardock and give him future sight. Now, these Kanasans are able to damage Uzaru Shugesh, who may have a power level anywhere from 20,000 through 40,000, depending on how strong you think he is.
Okay.
Dragon Ball Cardass seems to imply it's over 2,000. So these Kanasans are kind of heavy hitters, realistically. And in the old specials, it was implied that this is one of the reasons that Frieza's army is like, what? A Saiyan team wiped out them? Like, these guys...
Oh, so that's why they make it such a big deal. Oh, okay.
Damage a 20,000 power level Uzaru? So, after Bardock gets sort of manhandled by probably one of the stronger ones that survives an Uzaru blast from who knows how strong these Uzarus are, especially Bardock's probably 80,000 or higher, he knocks out Bardock, and then he gets blasted and dies. But when Bardock revives, then the Saiyans are like, okay, well, he's encroaching on a power level of 10,000, and one day he'll surpass the king. Now, the dubism said that he's at the king's level, or he surpassed the king. However, the original just says he may even surpass the king one day.
Right, so he's not as strong as him, it implies, yeah?
Or it's implying he's like, if he keeps growing,
he's on his way there,
Vegeta. And then this eventual growth is what leads to Frieza just eventually destroying the planet. Also, it leads to Frieza sort of disposing of Bardock with Team Dodoria. And then after that, Bardock arguably only gets more powerful from the Kanasa knockout session. So the only thing we have to go off of back then was just that King Vegeta is stronger than Bardock.
Basically.
Now, you might be able to argue maybe a Zenkai came around, but other than that, not so much. Now, with Dragon Ball Super...
There we go, the manga,
we get to the point where Bardock gets like an instinct-type power-up. And I go over this in my How Strong is Goku's Dad video, where basically Bardock surpasses what realistically Saiyans are supposed to be capable of, in the opinion of Gas. Now, Gas is clearly an elite in Frieza's army of some kind, or he is an elite level within Frieza's forces. And he believes that no Saiyan should be able to do anything that Bardock does to him at all. And Gas powers up multiple times beyond that, and Bardock still defeats him. Now, this verbiage or language is exactly the language used when the Ginyu Force are describing Goku on Namek. This, alongside Toyotaro's statement that the Heaters, before they wished to be the strongest, were probably Ginyu Force level, probably even back in the day, and that Gas thought realistically no one should be on his level, implies that Bardock might have been at least encroaching on a Ginyu Force tier of strength. But even if you want to say that he's very high up there, an impossibly high power level for a Saiyan is realistically probably 30 through 40,000. No one would ever anticipate that level from a Saiyan. Jason Berter thought Vegeta going 30,000 or almost encroaching on a 30,000 was like really impossible. And then it's only when Jace hears 60,000 from Captain Ginyu, he's like, no Saiyan has ever come near that level. That's not possible.
It can't be true.
And Captain Ginyu's like, he must be a mutant to reach 60,000. So Saiyans reaching power levels of 40,000 is probably the peak of their ability. 30,000 is probably peak Saiyan strength that made Burter crap himself. Now, originally in the manga, it was stated 20,000 and rising, but obviously this was changed to more of a 30,000. And if anything, he encroached on 30,000 very quickly, as all of them deduced. And then after this, they weren't actually shocked and calling Vegeta a mutant, implying that it's still feasibly within their minds. And the reason I say this is no one knows of Bardock's power level, but they probably know of King Vegeta's power level, who would probably use his power level as a form of status. Now, what I'm getting at with this is that King Vegeta also gets buffed from Dragon Ball Super's interpretation of Bardock because King Vegeta is probably stronger than Bardock during that fight. Now, we don't know exactly when King Vegeta went to go scrap with Frieza and get killed, but Daizenshu makes it very clear that King Vegeta is the strongest Saiyan during his time.
Huh. Okay, right.
While he's alive, he is the strongest Saiyan. He's stronger than Bardock. Case closed. It also means he's stronger than Kid Vegeta. So if you thought Kid Vegeta surpassed King Vegeta, it wouldn't have been long after he died.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no, that don't mean no.
Which is also the next point of contention. But basically saying this is that if King Vegeta was alive during Bardock when he fought Gas, then he may surpass a 20,000 or a 30,000 power. He might actually reach a Ginyu Force level of strength. I make a consistent case that I think Bardock surpassed Ginyu Force's level of strength. I think that was the entire narrative purpose of that battle. It's supposed to be him versus Ginyu Force level opponent, hence the exact Jace dialogue being used. We also know Toyotaro references all of that stuff and blah, blah, blah. Now, further evidence for this is that Frieza actually tries to scare Vegeta by saying, I already beat your dad, no problem.
Yeah, so he's like he's using him as an example of someone who's really powerful. Yeah,
like I took your dad out. He wasn't a big deal at all. But if King Vegeta, let's say, had a power level of 10,000, and Frieza knows that Vegeta had a power of 18,000, even back in the day when he was his lackey, I don't think Frieza would realistically be bringing up.
Yeah, he's not. Why would he brag about that?
Yeah, I one-shot your dad. Because Frieza, he blew away like 3 warrior Namekians with his breath and killed them, and they all had power levels of 10,000. He literally blew away 3 Bardocks with his breath. I'm not even making that up. In the anime, that actually happens. So the only thing you could say from there, maybe there's some guides on it. Not too sure. This is more of a rant style, but at best, you would say King Vegeta was surpassed by Kid Vegeta, who probably, power level over 10,000. Kid Vegeta maybe surpassed with like a 14K or something like that. The other argument, though, is that you can maybe argue is that Vegeta was just trying to sound tough to Frieza. And all of it sounds very bizarre no matter how you really work with it. Why would Frieza bring King Vegeta up if he was just a 10,000 power level? Why is Vegeta the strongest Saiyan of all time if Bardock is surpassing what the heaters all thought Saiyans could even realistically do? And they should have insight on Frieza's strongest fighting force if they're working with him in employment. So I guess what I'm taking away from that is that realistically, no matter how you boil it down, King Vegeta should probably win. The only way King Vegeta doesn't win is if Bardock surpasses the Ginyu Force, and then Bardock cannot access that power except for that one time in that fight. Like, he didn't retain that power, which we've never actually really seen that from a Saiyan ever. We've never seen them show a power and then they don't keep a higher level of power later. It's not really shown that much. Like, even after Goku goes Ultra Instinct, he's heavily fatigued. He's still getting stronger.
Yeah.
He seems to actually get incredibly buffed, even though he's incredibly fatigued in the term of power, as an example. Even after they defuse from fusions, they always seem to get stronger. So Bardock not keeping that level of strength
Is
would
odd.
be an anomaly.
Yeah.
But maybe you could argue it, right? Maybe you could argue like he's tapping into some type of ultra instinct or some inner Saiyan instinct drive, which amps him for that one battle rather than, say, obtaining a Zenkai or some permanent power boost. This would not actually be impossible. Saiyan instinct or this instinct power is actually a power that he's noted to have even in the games. So you would just argue he can get amped in power like Gohan does, right? Gohan can get amped by
That
his
rage
instinct or his
and that,
anger.
yeah.
Bardock's the same. Now, it would be weird to say King Vegeta is still stronger than that, but you could say that. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be, neck-bearding in the comments. Saying, well, you ever just admit it's retcon, man? It's a retcon. It's a retcon. You don't have to say it's a retcon. I don't ever have to admit anything's a retcon. I'm okay saying it's fun. But I think it's consistent. You could say it's consistent because of Frieza's statement. I think if you use Frieza's statement, like, hey, Frieza was jerking this guy off, maybe he was getting you force tier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who knows? Definitely not a 60k power level. Below 60k, probably above 10k. And in canon, there's no power levels for Bardock or Vegeta. Right? There is no 10,000 power level statement to work off of. The only thing we do have is that King Vegeta is an Elite Saiyan, and so is Vegeta. The only other thing, too, is that maybe you could use the Broly movie if you care, like Kid Broly at a power level of 10,000, and Vegeta's still stronger than Kid Broly. So that's all we really do know. And other than that, guys, I do hope that you enjoyed. I would say realistically, Instinct Bardock probably has a higher chance of being stronger just due to the fact Toyotaro probably doesn't know about that really niche Daizenshu statement. And most people kind of off the top of their head, they would just say, yes, Kid Vegeta's stronger than King Vegeta. Why is this even like a thing to think about, right? But that is an overlooked detail that is in guidebook land, unfortunately for everyone involved. And a lot of the times, power scaling is done accidentally. A lot of the times, authors do not do things intentionally, but you could say that with any type of narrative quality, authors will write things.
It's like the guy that did Jujutsu Kaisen. I think it's funny that like he felt the need to like kind of explain how certain things work or recorrect himself in the opening sections where they write stuff down and that.
Things that they don't actually intend, and then people are like, hey, did you know this connects like this? And then the authors are like, hey, that's actually kind of
like,
cool.
wait a
I didn't
minute,
aim for that, but let's run with it, right? So this is one of those moments where King Vegeta low-key kind of gets some weird scaling because of probably a forgotten detail. But what do you guys think? Do you think it would only be referring to, let's say, base Bardock, Instinct Bardock isn't the consistent factor? Maybe King Vegeta died before that. I doubt that, but maybe King Vegeta died before Bardock got that power-up. Because that's what people would also argue back in the day. Bardock reaches a power level of 10,000, right? And then he gets another Zenkai, but King Vegeta could be dead by that time. So second Zenkai Bardock could be above King Vegeta because that statement would only apply while he's alive.
Timeline.
Probably. Unless it's talking about eras, and if it's talking about eras, then Bardock gets absolutely cleared. It is not a contention at all. You could even argue Vegeta might have a type of weird instinct fighting style. And the other aspect about Vegeta on top of Bardock is that Vegeta might weirdly have a lot of fight experience. I think a lot of people kind of imagine Bardock as this rough and tumble, low-class warrior.
Yeah, but like there must be a reason that he became king, you know what I mean?
However, King Vegeta is actually a war general who did a ton of fighting. For all we know, he might have fought a Super Saiyan. But when he fights the Tuffles back in the day, he conquered a race of people that were arguably way stronger than the Saiyans, and he had to create strategies and ways around them to survive while he could use the Uzaru power-up or like eventually survive until the Uzaru power-up was needed to destroy them. Implying King Vegeta actually did have a lot of fight IQ, and the whole class system didn't really exist back then because that's when it would have been being defined. So Vegeta actually climbed the ranks as a barbarian of sorts, some like Elden Lord Saiyan, and then he became King Vegeta, and then the royalty was sort of established. But if you want to go back to current Super, Vegeta is called Vegeta the Fourth. All right, so probably like some weird lines of Vegeta.
Some lineage.
And a more ancient Vegeta did some conquering or something like that, right? Because obviously he got retconned. But if we're just talking about, I guess, pre-Crisis Dragon Ball, right? We could say pre-Crisis Dragon Ball, the old school Bardock, old school Vegeta. Old school Vegeta is like a war general, stronger than any Saiyan. Bardock's rough and tumble. He can get there eventually, but not there yet. And then we're talking about new era. Vegeta is in this weird Dead Zone, probably weaker than Kid Vegeta, might be as strong as the Ginyu Force. Who knows? All right. Apparently, just from a line of nepotism, and was born at the high power level. Okay. But what do you guys actually think about it? I think that's the only two ways to look at it. But other than that, guys, hope you did enjoy and have a great rest of your day.
Cool. Yeah, that was an interesting look. Yeah, King Vegeta is King Vegeta for a reason. You know what I mean? And the manga, yeah, it's odd for a Saiyan to not keep that strength, though. Kind of bit all over the place. Bit that's the problem with having spin-offs and continuities and all these books that explain stuff. It's there's so many questions about. But that was a fun little one. Thanks for watching.